The mining sector largely blamed for the shrinkage in our GDP, and it's a story that won't go away.
Certainly, and for more on that story, it's over to Francis.
Well, indeed, the strike on the Platinum Belt has sent shockwaves across our economy. The South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry expressing concern about the shrinking economy. It says the severity of the impact of the strike means that the labour relations framework may not be serving business, labour or the country. Well, to discuss, we're now joined by SACCI CEO Neren Rau. Thank you for joining us, Neren. It sounds like you believe something is broken.
Absolutely, and this is a belief we've long held. There were recent amendments to the Labour Relations Act, and one of those amendments removed the ballot provision before one could commence on a strike. And so that was one of the few safeguards we had in order to mitigate rampant strikes. We're already experiencing at least one established long-standing strike. Another one has just begun in the sugar industry, which is another key contributor to export revenues for South Africa. And more may come along, especially under the current labour relations provisions, where you have removed some of the safeguards relating to strikes.
So the ballot provision is workers have to vote and a majority has to be in favour of the strike.
Quite right. And it's one of the few safeguards we have. We're not trying to take away, we're not against the rights of workers. We firmly support those. We firmly support the right to strike. But we're now experiencing an unusual level of strike activity in our economy, a protracted level, a historic level of protracted strike activity, and we need to take a serious look in respect of how we're going to address this, how we're going to prevent these events from becoming widespread, or how we're going to prevent it from becoming an element of our economy, which would be a key deterrent to those looking into our economy as an investment destination if it's not addressed immediately. So we've looked at the new leadership that's come into being over the last 24 hours, and we believe that as soon as they take office in their respective positions, they need to turn immediate and strong attention to the economy as a priority. The state president has indicated that, but unfortunately in some of his policy statements he's indicated a role for stronger state intervention. We don't believe that that should be the way we should go. We believe that a more liberal economy is the way to go. But we believe the leadership need to look immediately at these challenges that we're experiencing and determine how, in partnership with business and labour, we could align around a more business-friendly environment and a more attractive investment destination environment.
Well, let's stay with the strike, because I think government has been heavily criticised for not getting involved. If it had got involved, I believe there would have been criticism as well, because like you say, you can't take away the rights of workers. So what was government's role?
Well, in this case, we are dealing with an exceptional circumstance, and that's where the government does have a role to play. When you deal with something that's exceptional, when you deal with something that's outside of the bounds of normal activity, or in this case, normal business activity. So ordinarily, we advocate that we should have a liberal environment, we should have a balance between the rights of business and labor, the rights of business and consumers. But in this case, this is something exceptional. And the parties that are involved cannot come together in an amicable way. They cannot find a solution. They've tried repeatedly over 4 months. The cost in terms of the impact on the platinum sector is growing close to 30 billion at this point. And this is a cost that this economy can ill afford. So we need to look at the key ministers that are have the potential to influence this strike. And we also need government to reflect on the strike activity in our broader economy as a matter of urgency, and relook at our labour relations framework and determine how we can reshape that labour relations framework, again, not to take away the rights of labour, not to take away the rights of workers, but to ensure that we encourage more constructive solutions rather than having to deal with unconstructive strike activity.
You spoke about the ballot, but would it have made any difference? I know there has been concern that some workers have been scared and that's why they're staying away. That's certainly the claim of the mining houses. But there's no doubt that there's also been massive support for the strike. So it probably would have gone ahead and continue to drag on regardless.
Well, it would have introduced greater clarity than we're now experiencing. Right now, there are lots of reports that differ in their opinions as to the extent of support for the strike. There are lots of reports, particularly from the company side, indicating that the workers do want to return to work, and then you hear from some of the guys on the ground and the union saying that that's not true. So if we had gone through a secret ballot, it would have mitigated some of the intimidation that's currently being experienced, and you would have had a true reflection of how the workers feel about the strike. And the speculation that is currently rife would not be present in the environment.
Very quickly, are we heading towards a recession? Looking at the contraction, which I think surprised many in the first quarter, could we have another one?
It is very possible, especially given that lots of business activity was either stayed or reticent about the election prospect in the second quarter. So it is very possible. I don't think that it would be a severe recession. We're looking at, although we've seen a decline in the first quarter, it's only 0.6, so it's not severe. We're hoping that that does not extend to the second quarter, but it is a distinct possibility, albeit, I believe, at a very low level of decline if we do experience such a decline. But I must emphasize that it is still within our power, it is still in our hands to ensure that this does not become a feature of our economy, that we can change the economic outlook immediately.
All right, thank you so much for your time. That was Neren Rau, SACCI CEO.